This is Jason Burke, founder of High Point System Event Coach. And today I want to welcome Bryan Marks and Jimmy Wood from Cloud Castles, and they're going to talk about how to cash flow with short-term rentals. Welcome, Bryan and Jimmy.
I'm Bryan Marks with Cloud Castles, and Jimmy and I go way back over 10 years of knowing each other and being friends, and then working together now for this business called Cloud Castles. I'll give him a second to introduce himself, and then we'll jump into what we do with specifically short-term rentals, our technology, and how we work with a ton of investors like yourself to get properties going with very little money down, and ideally very little effort needed to be done by your side of things.
Yeah, and I'm Jimmy, co-founder of Cloud Castles. As Bryan alluded to, we go back since college, so we know each other a very long time. I also joke with people, I'm a recovering law student. So anyone that has started in one career and jumped to another, I know your life.
Well, so we'll start with the problem before we jump into what Cloud Castles is. Let's talk a little bit about the problem and why we exist. So you all know this graph, the price of real estate is skyrocketing. I think one stat I heard, we're short 5 million single family homes in the US. Kind of history lesson here, a little bit of context. In 2008, we had a surplus of homes. There was the bust. A lot of those developers went out of business, and the US, the US simply did not catch up over this time period. So basically, we're a shortage of single family homes. Prices are high. Next slide. But you get the idea. Mortgage rates are incredibly expensive. And then it's really hard to get these properties going. I mean, there's a lot of options out there, right? Where's, do you buy in this market, that market? What about the laws in this area, that area? Is it the city? Is it the county? Is it the state? Is it all combination of all three? It's incredibly difficult data problem to sort out, and it's not centralized by any way, shape, or form. And guess what? If you make a wrong purchase and you buy an area that's not Airbnb friendly, then you can lose your investment. So a lot of analysis on paralysis on where to buy and what properties to buy. Do you go with a turnkey? Do you go with a fixer-upper? Do you go something a high density? How many bedrooms do you put on? All those questions that we've worked on before. And as I alluded to, we have a high upfront cost. So anytime you want to get a real estate going, an investment going, you might be $200,000 to get a really good investment going. Even if you're looking to do something small, like in a one bedroom, one part of the city, you're still looking at incredibly high upfront costs that you really bear the load for. And really, if things go wrong, for example, if you don't get a lot of tenants on, or you don't get good reviews at first, you can really be saddled with a lot of debt, as well as a lot of basically liability for holding onto the property and paying all the mortgage and costs. And the last part is, I don't know if anyone's done any property management on this call, but it's time consuming, right? You got to make sure they have a good experience. You got to have your A game every time someone stays at the property. It's not straightforward. It's not simple a lot of the time. So property management is something that people often forget about, but it's something that has to be done for the long term.
Yeah, and I'll add there, it's a game of trade-offs, right? Because unlike the long-term rental space where you can plop in a property manager for 10% and forget about it, most property managers in the short-term rental space are charging anywhere from 20 to 30% of gross revenue to manage your property. So either you have to give up more money to not have to manage it yourself, or if you try to manage it yourself, it turns into a second job. And no one gets into real estate investing to create a second job. They do it because they want to get out of building a job for themselves. So it's really a trade-off that people have to deal with in this space.
So what we do at Cloud Castles is basically try to address all those issues for investors. We're basically a company that allows you to generate cash flow from short-term rentals without putting really much time or money into the problem. So it's all through an app that's available both in the Google Play and App Store. We do recommend, if you guys are interested, we always try to give hookups. If someone does give a 5-star review, we try to give you free property or a deal. So let us know if you guys would like to do that. Always get free swag, but we do appreciate your 5-star reviews. And here's how it works, basically. We handle all the hard stuff, and we think investing should be fun. It should be a way for folks to deploy their capital in a safe way, a way that's diversified, a way that's easy, a way that's fun. It should not be a lot of upfront stress and hassle and risk. That's what we want to take out of the equation here. So what we do to start off is basically we run all the data. So we know all the data across the board. We have pretty sophisticated systems in place for understanding exactly how to make an Airbnb successful, how to make the stars 5 stars, make the pictures pop, what regions are super important, what is the kind of arbitrage model. If we buy a fixer upper and then we put in 100,000 into it, what is going to be the ROI cash flow on that property for 21 and 22 and the next 4 or 5 years? Like, what does that actually look like? So we work with everyone. We actually handle all the lending information. We put it all in LLC, so it's super safe. It can't touch any of your other assets. If there is some liability there, we basically really tighten everything up to make sure that the money we're putting our bet on here is the best that we can possibly do. And we have this like internal saying here at Cloudcast, like, there is a house that is going to make the most money on short-term rental sites. It's somewhere in the US or internationally. Our job is to find that and bring that to our investors so they can deploy capital there and have a good return.
And again, if there are any questions, please let us know in the Q&A. We'll be monitoring that as we go along. We don't just want to be talking heads, folks. We want this to be interactive. So please ask us questions if something we're saying doesn't make sense or you just want us to go deeper. But in terms of the back end, this is where we come into play because, again, you don't want to have a second job when you are trying to build your real estate empire. So we will do all of this for you. We handle the renovations and we handle all of the property management once it's a live Airbnb. So we put a lot of stock in making sure that our properties have amenities that sell. We're going to go into that in a second, but the basic idea is that this isn't a listed and they will come scenario. You actually have to have something that stands out if you expect to make great returns in this space. So everything from hot tubs to smart TVs, and we'll show some other examples shortly, so I won't give it away, but we do all of this work for you and we do it at the industry's lowest rate. So I'm going to tease that now and we're going to come back to that later as well. But we are aligned with all of our investors and we're doing it because we want to see you succeed, because if you don't succeed working with us, we can't succeed as a company. So we do all of this to make sure that it's a turnkey and smooth process and you get to make money as we go here.
Yeah, absolutely, Jimmy. And honestly, what's the goal here in having a short-term rental? Why should people even have a short-term rental is one question you might ask. The goal here is, 10 years down the line, when we've done all the investments, we've really diversified. You're sitting on a huge portfolio of real estate that's all making you passive income across different markets. So the goal is to really have that house that has appreciated value, 400K, really does make the 2K a month in passive income, does have you can do a cash out refinance as well if you guys are also interested in doing renovations. The goal here is to really build that portfolio up over the next 10 years and really have like a big nest egg that you can turn around and be proud of in the 2030s, I suppose. So long term, but we definitely say, like, if anyone wants to get rich quick scheme with real estate, it's probably not the best vertical to invest in. There's always an NFT market, I think, is pretty popular for some folks. Real estate is not for necessarily the super quick cash. You can do quick fix and flips, but we definitely recommend for our investors to be in it for the long haul and really think about what their portfolio will look like or what they want it to look like in the next 10 years. So we really, again, want this to be fun for our investors and just kind of sit back and enjoy earning money while they sleep. And there's a great quote by Warren Buffett that basically says, if you don't make money while you sleep, you're going to work for every day for the rest of your life, because you have to make money while you sleep somehow, or else you have to put in work to get money. And it takes money to live a little bit. So I think it was a wise quote, and I think real estate's a great place to really make that happen. So what do our properties look like? Miami is one of our earlier properties we put on. It's a great location, North Miami. It's actually very close to downtown. You can't really tell because there's this really cool nature preserve right next to it. So you get a lot of greenery. It feels like you're even outside the city, but you're actually pretty much downtown. 4-bedroom. We installed the pool here, so there was no pool previously. So we put that in, and then we get a lot of bachelorette parties. Basically, it's done about 15% annualized cash on cash return. That actually number should be higher. We did have a little bit of issues with cast iron steel in the bathrooms. If anyone's familiar with plumbing, we had to basically replace those. So that actually ate into a lot of our revenue for the year, but we're really confident that next year it'll be hitting hopefully 20, but we feel really good about the appreciation of the property overall. So we have properties everywhere. I'm not sure, Jimmy, if you want to jump and speak to this one, but we do have a ton. It could take some time to go through them all.
I can speak to Smokies. So this was an interesting property because this was a Burr property that we did. Those not familiar with Burr, it's buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And the basic concept is that what we looked at is a property in Smoky Mountains. And we initially were going into this market thinking that this was going to be a great fit, but every single retail property we saw on Zillow, way overpriced. It's very hard to hit high returns based on the purchase price versus the revenue that you could make off of that. So instead, we worked with a wholesaler that gave us his property. I can let Bryan talk about the fun details of it, but gave us his property. We hired a local contractor to fix it up. And then the refinance that we recently did actually got it so that all of our initial investors are able to recoup 100% of their costs. So it was a great strategy. We are definitely going to do this strategy again. And it just goes to show that you don't just have to buy retail. There are many creative ways to get a short-term rental off the ground. And we've even done another renovation on this property from some of the refinance proceeds. So it's been a great investment all around.
Yeah, and so just back to Jimmy's point, like we work with investors in a lot of different ways, and really it's about kind of what they're interested in doing and their comfort level. This property, for example, we went in with I think 3 other investors. We did all about 30K each, give or take. And the house, honestly, I should have before and after pictures here. If you saw the before pictures, you would never want to stay at this Airbnb because it was so gross. I think there was like maybe 40 dogs living in it and a bear, and it smelled like it too. The floors were all torn up. But we worked with a great team there. We do bring in our own Cloud Castles renovations team that will go through and actually work on the properties. And we actually added a hot tub. This is actually outdated because we put a whole backyard canopy area out here. It looks really nice. But this is Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Great market if you guys haven't been up there. Just to keep it going, we got a ton of these. This is our Kissimmee property. This is about 15 minutes from Disney World. If you guys ever been to Kissimmee or Orlando, the one thing that everyone complains about there is the traffic. So it's like basically LA now because so many people move to Orlando. And the benefit of this property, why it's doing well, is basically it's only 10 minutes from Disneyland, or Disney World rather, excuse me. So it's really close. You're close to all the attractions, the events. It's really location plays a big part into how location amenities play a big part in how the Airbnb performs in the market. So this is a cool property we have. We actually built out this custom game room with some custom art. We definitely encourage art in a lot of the Airbnbs to kind of make it really an experience. And it's a great house.
All right, so we'll keep it pushing. Jason, if you have any comments or questions on behalf of the group, feel free to jump in as well. But if not, let's keep going to the next. So we have more properties that are coming soon. We always are going to have more properties, and our ultimate goal is to get to 1,000 properties in the next 3 to 5 years. And the idea is we're going to diversify across multiple markets so that you don't have risk in either a regulation changing in one market or weather affecting all of your properties in a market and wiping out all of your revenue. That's why we're deciding to spread wide first and then go deep second. So our upcoming properties are going to be in Tampa, that's going live at the end of this month. And then Vegas, we're really excited about, which is going live in October. And there are many, many cities across the country that allow short-term rentals, and we plan on being in all of them. But the world is bigger than just the US. So we're going to be in markets across the world. And we're really excited to keep growing this. And again, we can't do it without great investors. So we're happy for everybody that joined the call today. But if you guys have any questions on any of these, let us know. Otherwise, we'll get into the benefits just a second.
I mean, we worked with a lot of investors who, or Jason, I saw you come off video or mute. Did you have a question?
No, I think what you're saying is very valuable, and I just want you to go into the benefits. But if you could tell a little bit later on about the Tampa and Vegas properties, because I know those are the two that have coming on the market that you have coming on, and those will be some exciting properties that people want to hear besides Orlando properties and everything like that.
Oh yeah, we'll come back to those later on.
Yeah, we're really excited. I mean, I think Tampa's a really growing market. It's kind of it's got a great downtown. You got the Bucks there. We're 15 minutes from the stadium. I think it's one of the hotter real estate markets. Miami was the number one hottest in the country last year, I believe. I think Tampa is like right up there as well. So I think it's a really good place to invest.
Now, in terms of the benefits here, we have a lot. I'll start with the left-hand side. We are not some real estate company that's going to give you quarterly distributions. If there's a profit, you get paid out the next month. It's your money. You get to do with it as you see fit. And we don't want to be the company that holds on to it. So we will pay you out the very next month if we have a profit. As I mentioned before, you can diversify across multiple properties. So you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket as if you would if you're doing this yourself. Let's say you had 20K to invest. You can put it across multiple properties. So that's a benefit of working with us. And then, of course, you get property appreciation. Unlike the arbitrage model that some people are in when they get into Airbnb, you own the property. So you get to participate in the appreciation, whether it's a refinance that we do down the road or it's selling the property. We're going to get you involved because you are a part owner of said property. And I'll pause if there are any questions there. If not, then I'll let Bryan talk about the other benefits.
Yeah, so I mean, the benefits here is basically what you would do. Our business is to keep the benefits that you would do if you did this yourself while extracting away the difficulties of investing. So that's the property management side and finding the good properties and renovating the good properties, making them profitable. But we want to keep all the benefits that you would do if you did this all yourself. So we want to keep those benefits. Our goal is actually not to make a ton of money on really any of these individual properties. Our larger goal as a business is to scale so that we're more of a marketplace where people would actually exchange hands between each other. And that's where we believe we're actually really going to actually make more of the software side of things, more of the revenue on being more of a marketplace to trade between investors. So that's why we love working with folks early on. We give them really good discounts and benefits. And what we really encourage folks to do is not even invest in a lot, honestly. We basically want them to get started with a really low amount, whatever they feel comfortable with. We have some investors who started with a phone call with us and $100, and then they, liked what they saw, and now they're across 5 different properties and they've invested closer to $100,000. But it's really what they were interested in with and really what they were comfortable with. But they did love the idea of doing, getting a lot of the benefits without doing a lot of the work, as most people do. And that's why we exist as a business. And that's why we're doing so well. So we basically start really low. How does it get started? We have these properties, as Jason and Jimmy mentioned. Vegas is really cool. It's a 5-bedroom, 15 minutes from the Strip. This one will be live later in October. We're currently redoing the outside. Tampa's almost live. We just put a really cool canopy in it, pergola, hot tub, and redid all the kitchen. So we're really excited about that one. And then Disney's basically been live for a while. So we're scaling up to a ton of properties. And again, it's all through this app. So you get paid out through the app. You can basically make additional purchases through the app. You can check out any of the paperwork or any other information you may need through the app. That's basically how we talk to or work with our users directly to the mobile app.
Yeah, and I told you guys I would come back to this point later. We charge the industry's lowest property management fee at 5%. Part of the reason why we do that is because, as Bryan alluded to, we're not trying to make a lot of money on any one individual property. We want to scale. The other part is that we want to align with our investors. So we keep 20% equity in our properties because we don't want to just be a property management company that skims off the top. We want to make money when you make money. So when you invest in one of our properties versus others that we may have down the line in our marketplace feature, Bryan mentioned, it's just a 5% management fee that we charge, because we're trying to be aligned with our investors and make this a dead simple choice for you to invest and see how it works.
I already gave a shout out about the app rating. We love to hook you up. We do give out discounts on stays or discounts on shares. Just send us a screenshot of a 5-star rating. We love to hook our users up with support people who support us. So please let us know if you'd like to work together on getting a free or cheap stay, and then also some discounted shares in a property with a 5-star rating. We'll have a little bit more. So the app is more casual. It looks like we have a question in the chat. How long have we been in business? So we've Jimmy and I started. The code was actually started, embarrassingly enough, 4 years ago. But the actual launching of our first property was December 2020. So about a little under 2 years. But we feel like we've made pretty good traction. We found close to a couple $1 million in real estate portfolio, as well as we do have significant investments from users all across the country. So we feel pretty good about our growth trajectory at this point. There's a lot of stuff we have in the works to speed it up and enable more folks to own real estate in an easier to do way. But yeah, about a little under 2 years would be the answer to that question.
Thank you for the question. We appreciate it. So I see another one came in from anonymous attendee. Can you talk about what it looks like if investors need to exit or sell?
Yeah,
That's a great question.
It's a great question. So we encourage our investors to really exit or sell. And so basically how that works is directly through the app. Do we have a slide on that, Jimmy? I don't think we have it.
No, not yet. So it's a good point. We got to add that, but we can talk about it. So thank you for asking the question.
This is a brand new feature. It's actually, there is some competitors in the market, but no one has this feature. And basically you can list your shares when you want. So how that works is when I list my shares, I decide what I want to list them, how many shares I want to list. We don't actually, the price of the shares is based off the free market value of the home. So, it's not, we basically don't allow people to do wild speculation on bidding at this point in time where like, oh, this house could be worth $50 a share when really we think it's worth 25. We basically we basically stick the share price or the equity price to the appraisal costs. So how much it would actually make if we sold the house tomorrow. And that way, like no one's losing a lot, no one's getting a lot. So the point is, they basically, you can list the amount of shares you want on the app. The next person who buys will buy your shares. And then there is a fee associated with that sell. That fee can be significantly discounted if you're part of our subscription model. So our subscription model is basically your portfolio building model. And that's where, and that's actually the model we encourage folks to do mostly in the future now, because how it works is we basically spread out your investment every month across a different property. So you're getting spread out across all the properties and you're taking a little less risk as opposed to like, hey, let's put $50,000 in Vegas. Okay, cool. Like a lot of people like to throw $50,000 on the table in Vegas. That's fine. But the way that we recommend that's a little more risk adverse and what we think is a better experience is if you put that $50,000 into 5 or 10 houses. And so if you put in 5 or 10 houses, you're really kind of seeing which ones are doing well, which ones are doing poorly. You can sell the ones that are not doing so well at the market value or buy more if you think some property is going to do much more. But to answer your question directly, you will list the shares. The next person who buys on the platform will buy your shares out.
And let's really let that point sink in, everyone that's listening right now, because for any of you who have invested in real estate before, you know that liquidity is not a thing in this space. The only way you can usually get your money back is if you sell the property or you sell your equity in the property to somebody else. But we are now creating a marketplace for everyone. As soon as they want to list their shares, they can get bought out by other investors on our platform. So it's a great way for you to, again, lower your risk, as Bryan mentioned, and not have to wait for the sale of a property to be able to cash out, because life happens sometimes. And we want to be able to facilitate a smooth transaction instead of having you have to worry about, am I ever going to be able to recoup my money? So it's a new feature that we just built out that nobody else offers.
Yeah, it's a great point, Jimmy. And then also, the follow-up question would obviously be like, well, how long does that process take to actually get bought out? It really depends on like just the user base. Generally, the more people we have on the app, the faster it moves. Typically, we're selling tens of thousands of dollars of real estate every month. So, but we think that number's going to grow a lot. So, especially if you have a good property or something that a lot of other folks, how it works is basically the property does change over time. So you might get in and you might own the property when it doesn't look very good and it's a kind of a cheaper price. We got it like, you basically bought at this free market value that was pretty low. And then we renovated it and then we threw a bunch of art in there and we got 5-star reviews on Airbnb and the thing's making $2,000 a month. And guess the free market value is going to jump up. So it kind of depends on what part of the life cycle, the house's life cycle you buy at. and then how long it'll take to exit that property.
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking it. Wish I knew who you were, but anonymous attendee, thank you.
Yeah, if you guys have more questions as well, I would like to call out just Bryan at cloudcastles.io or Jimmy at cloudcastles.io. If you have any more questions, please ping us. One last program we'll call out today is our Alpha program. So this is one where it's more of a concierge service if you're interested in doing a little bit more sophisticated investing. So this is kind of a more typical syndication model where, hey, you're doing some white glove service with a portfolio. We're going through what you think, where would you like this larger investment to be placed? And then this is typically with folks who want to start their own short-term rental, and we'll support them. So for example, with this one, we had a property in the Gatlinburg property fell under this, where we had two investors who really wanted to invest in Tennessee. We basically matched this all together. And then we threw another investor in there, and they basically initiated that new property being bought. We went out and bought them a property in Gatlinburg, and it did really well. So this is probably the best dollar for dollar program you can get as far as getting your own Airbnb where you're the majority stakeholder, for example.
Yeah, and I'll add here as well. If you are someone who just wants your own place but doesn't want to run it, that's where the Alpha Investor Program comes into play. So it wasn't just Gatlinburg; it also worked out that way for Tampa and for Kissimmee. You don't have to have the entire amount to buy the property, but it does require a little bit higher capital. So typically we want you to have at least 25K liquid. But again, you get the benefits of having a higher stake in a property and being able to choose where you want to invest. So if anyone listening on this call says, hey, I love what Cloud Castles offers and I want to be in the space, but I just don't want to do it myself, this is the program for you.
Cool. Great. Well, I think that's about it. That's all we had, Jason. For the most part, again, please reach out to us or feel free to send us the 5-star review if you want some free swag or hookups on a discounted stay. We'd love to help you out.